This is Justin Scoop for Thursday, October 2nd, 2025. Take a look at SPX. So we're going to zoom in on 3 minute, but we're going to keep it zoomed out like this. And we were talking about having kind of this pullback. This gap yesterday was like a pullback like that. And then we got another one today. We're just making these S curves and just continuing on up and then up and then up. And probably another small one there. And then right now futures are up and it looks like we'll open up with another new all-time high if it stays up like it is right now. But I mean it rested, right? Like all through this, it just went sideways. It rested and it's just continuing on up. So that's kind of big picture what I'm seeing with this. If we zoom all the way back in, we had some great selling right out the gate. A really nice, really strong hammer, but at the wrong location. It's really high, and a couple, really big bull candles makes sense. There's going to be some profit taking, trap some bulls, and then sell off. Really incredible stair step. Like this is alternating candles, and then continue to break down. Let me get the sketch tool back out. So yeah, we totally went just sideways, actually slightly like that, kind of some compression, broke down. Here's your bookends with your resting candles in between. If you kind of squint and look at that candle, that's more of a bookend with three more bull candles in a row. And then we started to kind of roll. One really nice thing is the upper wicks here. That's hard to see. Come on. Some upper wicks here, 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 and here. We're really retesting the lower end of this. And then we just continue to roll over. Couldn't get a close back up above the 21. We just continued to roll. We did the same kind of thing here. We got some upper wicks, upper wicks. That was kind of that was a little lower. I don't know. Making some lows, recovered, and we're just chopping. All of this is just some chop, breakout, retest, and then we're back off to the races. And then we started this kind of pullback here. So, it's just hindsight's 2020. Just being able to draw at the end of the day like this. Obviously, you don't know what's going on in the middle of the day. You can see some of these things forming, but this is a really good day to just take some profits. Hope folks took some profits and, look to get in when it's basing, look for it to continue higher. If we take a look at the selling, so I've got the 66.75 put just because I had to go out of the money quite a bit to find an option that came down around a dollar. I mean, this was between $1 and $2. Only ran up to a little bit past three. Let's see, what was this? 3.8, 3.7. It would have been great if the 6,700 put had gotten a little lower, but I think the really large gap up kind of infused some volatility, and there was some extra premium baked in as things opened up. So this was right at open. This was between 2 and 3. Not the one. I like it when it's down at 1 or something. Looking for $100 risk. I did really like these retests. So these upper wicks on SPX, lower wicks on the put, retesting right back into this range. This was a great setup because you've already got this kind of consolidation here, the breakout on the put, retesting again, look to get in where, you can set it up for like $100 risk. So I think that would have been somewhere around maybe a little more than 100, I guess. I was going to say that's like 4x3, but I don't think the pricing actually worked out just like that. Let's see what the prices were. So the low here is 4.2, 4.3. The low over here was, oh, it's 3.7 and 3.6. So I think somewhat comfortably you could have done 450 by 350, especially after this came in. You could do 450 and be like, okay, if we come back to there, give it a little more time to rest, but it still ran up, like in between, it ran up to 6.8. So that would have been a great gain, from 450 to 650, and then just let it run over here. It just kept making slower lows until it didn't. You get these lower wicks, and keep adding. see, I turned off. I'm just looking to see, is this one? No, I don't think this is one that hit the dollars. But let me turn off the log scale again. Price. Okay, so that's easier to see. Yeah, okay, so this would have been buying at 3. See, sometimes they work out really nicely. Sometimes they don't. Why is the drawing tool not coming up? Okay, so this was buy at 3, buy at 4, buy at 5. It missed 6. Buy at 7, kind of a buy at 8. And then, yeah, it didn't work going up anymore. So in this case, he only missed buying at 6, but each one of these dollar amounts, it would have worked. So obviously not buying at 1 or 2, but start buying at 3, at 4, at 5, and just flip it out. You know, go from 2 to 6, get back in 4 to 7, get back in 5 to, I guess you would have gotten in 5 up to 8, and then because it didn't come all the way back down to 6, would you have gotten in at 7? Go 7, and then what is that? We're doing $3 each time, right? So that's a 3. That's a 3. That's a 3. What's 3 up from that? That's 10. So you would have been getting out here, and then you get in here at 8 and get out at 11, and it didn't get to 11. So that one would not have worked. But if you got $100 risk on each of these, I think it would have worked. So that's just a way to do it. Actually, no, this one was get in at 7, get out at 10, get in at 8. Okay, that wouldn't have worked because that would have, that lower wick came down, it would have stopped you out at 7. So you weren't in that. If you try to get in at 8 again, then it didn't work to go to 11. So, okay, so that would have been a stop out on that one. But still, like you can do the same setup or the same, not the same setup, do the same option with a different dollar amount and just stepping it up as the day goes on. And this actually would have only been in the morning. This would have worked through, what is that? Through like 10, almost 11 o'clock. So, but you wouldn't have known. Like, how would you have known that it's, oh, today's a good day to sell? I mean, getting some puts, we got some rest here, got some rest here. It kind of stepped it down. It wasn't a sharp selling day. We'll see if we get one of those. But pretty quickly this showed itself to be a stair step. It was just going sideways, alternating candles. Like there was some competition here. Some folks buying, some folks selling. It could have gone either way, but it does make sense that it needed some more rest. Let's look at the call as we started to trend up. Yeah, on this one, this is the 67.25. We just really went sideways. Oh, this one still has the log off. Okay, so if I go closer, let's go 67.20. What is this one doing? Yeah, I'm gonna turn the log back on because it's just really hard to see. Oops. Price, use log scale. There we go. Okay, that's a lot easier to see and zoom in on. Okay, so this was down at what? 1.15. Man, almost came down to 1. Too bad. But it actually had a nice move. Okay, how did this one do? The 67.15. Why is that taking some time? Not sure why that one's not loading. Let's do 67.10. That's not loading either. That's strange. Let's go back to 67.20. Okay. Something's going weird. Obviously, I'm doing this live and hadn't tried stuff before. It says it's connected. Not really sure what's going on. So, yeah, rather than just continuing to have a spinning Thinkorswim logo, I guess that's kind of going to wrap it up because this is not, it is not cooperating. It's not even letting me select things. Okay, there we go. 67.25. We're going to 67.15, and now it's loading fine. It's so okay. So you can see the S curve much clearer when it's like this. We had the bigger sell off, started a base, started to break out, get in our retest. Like it's kind of almost textbook. Textbook. Crazy. This one looks somewhat like a double bottom. I guess it's a stretch, but okay. So something's going on with my connection. It just said now it's connected again. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe it's an internet issue. Yeah, now it says delayed again. Reconnecting. Anyway, you can keep walking through while it's trying to reconnect. Let me look at a different option. Yeah, so that's not going to work. Now it's connected again. That's so bizarre. I guess I need to try not to do video at this time of day. Can we get okay? Back to the 3 minute, back to the daily. There we go. So we zoomed out on the 3 minute. We've been just riding this higher. We've had some flag patterns on our way up. Uh, it would make sense at some point we have a bigger pullback, start like a flag pattern. I think as long as futures hold up, we should open with another all-time high, which means we're continuing to just make everybody profitable who's in this bullish, and anybody who sold and is holding through the selling, trapping them, which means they may want to just get out, which means they're going to be buying to close. So we're staying we're staying above this dotted line. This is the midline of this uptrend. We had a little bit of trouble over here. Once we got above it here, we came right back. Then we had a little trouble staying above for a few days. So we're kind of doing this again where we're up. Now we made a new all-time high. If we do a couple bear candles, we may still be able to stay above this midline. Um, at some point, I would think we're going to come back to the yellow line. That's the 21 exponential. If we can keep going up a little faster, then we may be able to push the 21 a little higher up closer to the midline. We'll see. Uh, I think I mentioned it the other day. I wouldn't be surprised if we get to the 67.50 very soon. We got up to 67.31.94 today. So 67.50 is not far, especially if we hold a gap up overnight and are able to open there in the morning. Uh, it may already be there. It might be another big selling day. Not big selling day. It might be another selling day like today where we've got profit taking at first. We've done days like that before. So if we look back, and I'm just going to point to it, but we had this day where we had a candle very similar to today. And then the next day we actually gapped up to that price, new all-time, a new high. I'd have to look back to see if that was an all-time high. May have been. And then we sold off all day. And so if we do something like this where we're going to gap up here, or even say 67.50, and then we have a bigger selling day like that'd be phenomenal. Let's look for some selling and take some profits. It may even hold. This one held right around the 5. We could totally do that if we gap up and we hold or close right around the 5. We could have a bear day that looks kind of like that, and there's going to be lots of bear opportunities there. But let's see where things open up. Let's see if we still have some strength in this. I'm looking for another one more recent where we had a bear day, gapped up, and then continued going. Kind of this day. So we gapped up to here, and then we ran up, and that got us right into that midline. So it's possible for it to go either way. I don't want to make the call on this, but I think it should show its hands pretty early on, like it did today. We had some indecision here and quickly broke down, and then some resting and opportunities to get embarrassed and then continue to break down. And it wasn't a huge sell all day sort of day. Like this was selling for an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, and then it continued to put in a base and chop, and then it started to rally for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then went sideways again. So it's like you break down the day into what pieces, look for those opportunities, look for those reversals, look for those wicks, and it should show kind of like what it could do. So I hope this helps. This is Justin. Thanks.